It's an honor for me to join you here tonight to pay tribute to the work and the accomplishments of Dr. Vinogradov. I'm sorry I missed the lecture earlier. How'd she do? Yeah. There you go. Let her know. There you go. The kind of work that she does is the research that is at the heart of NAMI's mission, as you all know. Because NAMI knows that scientific research is vital to understanding mental health, and that research can lead to breakthroughs, which can lead to new treatments, and which can actually change the world. We can see it happen right before our very eyes. Research is the ultimate source of hope for people in recovery and their families who need it so much. Hundreds of thousands of individuals and families every year are served by NAMI's network of dedicated volunteers in communities across the nation. Do we have any volunteers in here this evening? Give yourselves a round. Thank you for all the work that you do, because you're the link to keeping the movement alive, using your strengths and your passions to get out there and make a real lasting difference. You are the people, I like to say, who are doing the best you can to make my job as boring as possible. Because I'm convinced that many of the people that show up in our newscasts, in particular in the first 11 minutes, they are there for the wrong reason usually. And they wouldn't be there if they had more of the resources that you all are advocating for people to get. There's not a family, there's not a community in this country that has not been touched somehow, some way by mental illness. I had a friend of mine in high school who committed suicide, so I've seen it firsthand. I see it every single day in the newscasts that we do. I know our prisons wouldn't be as full as they are if you all got the support you needed to spread that message and get the work done. Get the guys down there to do some work on this. Now, with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present to you the woman who heads NAMI and brings her passion and commitment to her work as she leads this organization forward, continuously paving the way for change. Please join me in welcoming to the stage her CEO, Mary Giliberti.
Good evening, everyone. This year we are holding our research event during the holiday season, and this works especially well because we truly are celebrating tonight as we honor someone who has brought so much hope to people with mental illness and their families. As you heard earlier this evening, those of you who attended the lecture, she brings light in what is too often a lot of darkness. When we think about some of the most serious healthcare conditions, we look at things like, when do they onset? How much impact do they have on people's lives, on their ability to get jobs, to go to school, to have relationships? We look at what impact these conditions have on people, or could have on people, if they don't get the right help. And by any statistics we look at, mental health conditions have an incredible potential to have an impact on someone's life. These are very serious conditions, and so you would expect that there would be a similarly serious response. You would expect that given the early onset, the system would try to intervene as early as possible and with everything that could possibly make a difference, and yet nothing could be further from the truth for the families and individuals in NAMI and around this country. In town after town, today and every day, families are struggling to find the treatment that they need when they need it. NAMI recently released a parity report based on a survey of our members, which confirmed what we all already know, which is it is more out-of-network care than other healthcare conditions, more out-of-pocket costs than other healthcare conditions. And Millman did a study of insurance and found that psychiatrists are reimbursed less than doctors who perform the same services. So let me ask you, how could it be that something that onsets earlier, causes more disability, has the highest needs, gets the less help, and costs more? Does that make any sense? No. And so how do we explain that? Well, we explain it by something that makes no sense either, which is the stigma that is against mental health conditions. The negative attitudes, the low expectations corporations that continue to drive these kinds of results, continue to drive unequal access, unequal payment. But we at NAMI and all of you as our supporters, and we are so very grateful to you because you stand with us as we say we reject these negative attitudes and these low expectations. We believe that everyone with a mental health condition should get the services and supports they need when they need it. Yeah. And we will continue to fight together until that day. And I know many of my state and local leaders are here, and they do that work each and every day, fighting for a different world, a world in which people can get those services, and they get them early episode psychosis programs, not when it's years later and more difficult, but still able to change. Fundamentally, we at NAMI believe in the dignity and the potential of every person with a mental illness, and we will not rest until it is recognized and realized. And so we are so delighted tonight to be honoring someone who embodies these high expectations and has dedicated her entire career to helping people be all that they can be. Dr. Sophia Vinogradov is an amazingly talented researcher. She could have chosen any field to work in, but she was committed to improving the minds of people with psychosis. And if you heard her earlier, she was committed to this even though when she began, people told her, you can't make a change for those people who've had this condition for a long time. You can't do that. And she said, yes, I can, and she did. And she did this based on her deep belief that everyone can improve and everyone should have the opportunity to improve. And the technical term for this, she's taught me, is brain plasticity. But what we know is it means that everybody gets to realize their dreams. So we really applaud her commitment, her respect for the capabilities of people with some of the greatest needs. And recently she's turned her attention, as some of you heard, to young people and trying to intervene early when she can have the greatest impact. When you look at our current mental health system, you say it's too little, it's usually too late. But when you look at what Sophia does, she looks at what's the most effective and what's the best time to do it. She looks at most and best, not little and late. She truly is inspiring hope through research, and that's what this evening is all about. But before I present her with her very well-deserved award, I want to express our thanks and appreciation to Yuta and George Childs Cone. They're here tonight for setting up the Peter Corbin Cone Endowment in memory of their late son, Peter, who lived with mental illness. The Cones became involved with NAMI over 20 years ago and learned that they were not alone. The endowment was their way of becoming part of a new era in research, in recognizing the incredible potential that research brings. You can read more about the Cones and the endowment in your program. Yuta and George are with us tonight, and again, we say thank you so much for your support. Sophia, will you come up to the podium? And for believing in the dignity and the potential of people with mental illness, it is my honor to present you with this award for your incredible achievements in neuroscience research.
Thank you. the work I do. We sometimes can get awards, we can sometimes be recognized for our scientific achievements. Nothing has ever meant to me what this award means to me. I'm really, really moved to the marrow of my bones, because this is why I do the work. I really want to see people's lives improve, and I want my science to contribute to that. There's certainly a lot of work still to be done, we all know that. But I want to convey to you something I've been feeling increasingly in the last, I would say months to the past year or so, as someone who's been in the field of scientific research for psychiatric illnesses for now almost 20 years. There is reason to feel optimistic in a way that there has not been reason to feel optimistic before. The combination of the advances in brain sciences over the last 5-10 years, along with the breadth of kind of knowledge and I would say destigmatization that has occurred because of the work that you all have done, are really heralding an era that I would not have imagined possible when I started out as a junior researcher. And I just see things happening in terms of the scientific advances, and not just in my own work, but also in other aspects of basic science, as well as in aspects of implementation science, such as the work that, as I mentioned during my talk, that Dr. Heinsohn has been helping to spearhead. So we now are at a place where we're understanding what are the needs of people in different phases of the illness, particularly the early phases, and how to deliver something that's going to be effective for them and actually change the trajectory. As I like to say, stop that train before it even leaves the station. And I would not have said this a year or two ago. I would not have said these particular comments. There's a sea change coming, and I think everyone standing in this room can really kind of, I hope, know, again, deep in the marrow of your bones that you've contributed to this sea change. So I look forward, and I would say the horizon is close over the next 5 or so years to seeing very different treatments available, to seeing a very different understanding of what contributes to psychiatric illnesses and how to intervene early. And then, of course, the final piece of the battle, which we will rely, those of us who are scientists and academics will rely very heavily on all of you here in this room and your expertise, is how to change systems of care and systems of reimbursement so we can make sure that people have access to these new innovations. But I have benefited enormously from what I've learned over the years from my work with the people who've been committed to NAMI, to the educational programs that you've done, now in my state of Minnesota, the wonderful relationship we have with NAMI Minnesota and how much it has supported the activities in our Department of Psychiatry through Sue Abderholden, who I know is here this evening, that I see nothing but a very fruitful and bright future together as we now get better and better at bringing together the scientific advances that I and people like I do with the boots on the ground knowledge and savvy that you all have. So let's do it. Let's make really significant change happen in the next 5 years. Thank you.